Tell, Cockerel. He's just a true guy. You'll have a true time. Tell, Cockerel. Leave your troubles at the door. You know the game, you know the score. We're here to have fun, so holster that gun and read the writing on the wall. The predictions leak, done every week. It just goes on and 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 on. Why do I always get it wrong? Tell, Cockerel. He's just a chill guy. You'll have a chill time. Tell, Cockerel. Jose gets himself around, always talking Spurs wherever he is found, home or away. He always tips to win, throws the form book in the bin with a cheeky knowing grin. Tell, Cockerel. He's just a chill guy. You'll have a chill time. Tell, Cockerel. Do I always get it wrong every time I play along? Tell, Cockerel. The show is so chilled, your time is well filled. If you want good friendly chat, then here's where it's at. Tell, Cockerel. Goes on and 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 on. Why do I always get it wrong? Tell, Cockerel. The show is so chill, your time is well filled. If you want good friendly chat, then here's where it's at. Tell, Cockerel.
Morning everyone, good evening and good afternoon, depending where you are watching in the world. Today is, and I still believe it's for everybody, today is Sunday the 15th of June. And first of all, I'd like to say happy Father's Day to everyone. I don't know what parts of the world do Father's Day because they have them in different countries at different times. But certainly in England today, it's Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all that are out there, even to the single parents, even to the mothers that act like fathers as well. Happy Father's Day to you guys as well. And I hope that everybody enjoys the day in whatever they wish and choose to do. My day has not unfolded yet because it's 9 in the morning, and with the kids, there's no doubt that they'll spring a surprise on me later, but it is early morning for me. Don't know where Chang is. Chang always asks to have this show at 9 o'clock. I keep telling Chang that it's my lay-in on a Sunday, but he makes me do it early, and then doesn't turn up. So I don't know where he is. Can I also say that it's breaking news that's just come in from Sky Sports is that Tottenham have completed the signing of Matthias Tell. That's just come through Sky Sports right now, this minute. So Tell has signed permanently. Let me say hello to a few people. We've got Tigaros here. Says evening or good evening, Tigaro, and it also says all aboard the Thomas the Frank engine. Come on, you Spurs. Wayne Bonner is here, says, good morning, everyone. Hope you're well and having a great weekend. Come on, you Spurs, says Wayne. I hope you're well, Wayne. It's been a minute, but I hope you're well, sir. I hope you're still basking in the glory. As Tigara and everyone I say hello to. Lee Wiz says, big up, my friend. Big up, Chang, mate. Yeah, I don't know where Chang is. Chang says, let's do a show. And then I haven't got a clue where he's at. And Lee says, morning chat as well. Morning, good morning, peeps. Happy Father's Day, says Paige. Paige, good morning to you. I hope you're well, and I hope your father is well as well, and is on his road to recovery. Pain Like Bane is here, but I don't know exactly what he's saying. And you've got Lisa's, is it? My lad usually remembers around 5 to midnight tonight. Wayne Bonner says, I like to, who proved to be a good signing. We've got to get a DM and a left back. And Wayne says, always basking in the glory. The Gooners still keeping away from me. Are they? I think my nephew and godson is an Arsenal supporter, and he sent me a message, and his message was, I don't know how they did. I'm not techie, but they're superb at this. He sent me a message on WhatsApp of him, but it's a cutout type thing, little thing cut out on WhatsApp of him doing a knee slide across the floor. And that was his way of saying well done to Tottenham, because he knows that his uncle and godfather supports Tottenham, and it was his way of saying well done to Tottenham without saying too much because he's a Gooner. But yeah, it's fantastic. And then you've got Phillies here. It says, big up Jose, Eltel, Cockerel, Chang, and everyone in the chat. I'm signing off on Spurs as I can't be myself. So peace out. Why can't you be yourself, Philly? What's up? What's up, mate? Why can't you be yourself? What's happened to make you feel that way? I know that I think that you're a Leviata, but what's happened to make you feel this way? But I hope you're well, mate, and happy Father's Day, Philly. Spurs fan John, morning, happy Father's Day, everyone, and Jose, and you, John, happy Father's Day, and I hope the missus enjoys her 29th marathon. I think you said it was today. So yeah, congratulations to your wife who's doing that. Jimmy Hotspur says, big up Jose in chat, good morning. Looks like we rinse and repeat again with Tell showing the real problem still exists in Levy. Nick, I've just said that Tell's just signed permanently FML. I've just said that they've just announced it as I was coming on just now, or as I was talking, in fact. They've just announced Tell has signed. Want to talk to Chang, but he's not here. Yeah, she's doing the 29th marathon, says Spurs fan John. It's just started. Blaine with a super chat. Blaine was due to come on, but but Blaine's not too well, but Blaine was due to come on, so I'm going to get Blaine on at a later date, and we'll have a chat all things Tottenham with Blaine. Says Jose, again, my apologies. No need to apologise, sir. Big up chat. Happy Father's Day to all those out there in dedication to those no longer with us. Have a great Sunday, folks. Question, Jose. Wingers being linked. Son gone. Well, to me, Blaine, I don't know. We all look at Tottenham differently, don't we? We all look at Tottenham differently. My view on it is a bit like Philly, a bit like Jimmy, probably a bit like Nick, and a bit like everybody, is that Thomas Frank is coming. And the thing I will say about Thomas Frank is that, with Thomas Frank, everyone says he's a great coach. Everyone says he'll make players better. everybody says, or a lot of people, I'm not going to say everybody, but you hear this a lot. A lot of people say he coaches people to become better players, and you know, he's got a good eye for players and that talent ID. So you now have Matthias Tell signing this morning, and then people are saying, it's the same old rinse repeat, rinse repeat. But according to the reports, whether they're right or wrong, they're saying that it's actually Thomas Frank who said, yeah, bring Tell in. He wants to work with Tell. He believes he can work with Tell. But where we go to the same rinse repeat system is that we've just won the glory night in Bilbao on the 21st of May, has elevated us from also Rans, so to speak, in the sense of the market, or should be in the sense of market, to Champions League football, which means that you dine at a top table, and it means that you hopefully you should be able to attract players. And we know, I think everyone can see it. Doesn't matter what squad Thomas Frank inherits. You know, at the end of the day, we still need players. We need to improve the squad, and the transfer window opens tomorrow. So it's officially open on the 16th of June tomorrow. So from tomorrow onwards, people will start announcing, and there'll be a flurry of people coming in, and people start announcing deals. Don't know how far Tottenham are with doing any of the deals, because obviously we've only just hired a manager. But in the same rinse and repeat cycle, I can see you all a lot of the guys being cheesed off, because you know we're being linked with. Well, it's like anything. It's a carnage. We're going to be linked 400 players throughout the summer, but we're not signing 400 players. But yeah, there's so many rumours going out there about who's going and who's staying and that. But with Tell coming in, I think the reported fee that I've been seeing is that Tell was coming in, I don't know, package all in for about 45 million. But with that, I thought that 10 million of that had already been paid up for his loan. So therefore, it's a 35 mil package, I think. But people are saying, well, you're spending a big chunk of it on Tell. Again, if you monetize these situations, then if it's a 5 year, I don't know if it's a 5 year or 6 year deal, but on a 5 year deal, £7 million, which means that you still have more money left to spend. But the wingers being linked, yeah, people are linking Mbeumo with us because people are linking Mbeumo with us because Thomas Frank is coming to Tottenham. So people are linking Mbeumo with us. But there's a lot of aggregators out there that are saying it's just a smoke screen, that Mbeumo is Man United bound. All Man United have got to do is meet the figure that Brentford want. And what they're saying is that Tottenham, or the agents, are stoked up, and you know people are stoking up the fire by saying Tottenham are in, when all that will do is trying to bump up the price or get Man United to act quicker. But then you've got other people saying that, yeah, Tottenham have held early discussions, but holding discussions and making concrete offers are two different things. So, I mean, the discussions could be that they know that Mbeumo was talking to Man United and they wanted to see whether something could be done. I don't know, but you've got links to Mbeumo. If you believe the aggregators out there, the aggregators are saying that the preferred option for Thomas Frank is Semenyo, a player who goes both in and out, can come in or go out. So it remains to be seen. So you refer to him. Eze. Well, we've been linked to Eze for 2 years. And again, it's just mayhem and it's a frenzy because we really don't know. Tottenham are so tight-lipped on everything that they do that we really don't know what's going on at Tottenham. Nobody does. It's so tight-lipped. I mean, at the end of the day, where you get rumours and that, you don't really get none from Tottenham because you don't know what's going on. The players that are coming and going, you don't know who's coming. Sorry, the players that are going, you don't know who's leaving either because they are so tight-lipped with everything that they're doing. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's difficult, Blaine, to answer because, yeah, it's a lot more of the aggregators are doing this. I mean, have Tottenham really put anything out there? Have Tottenham stirred the pot in any way? You know, because Tottenham have obviously got their favoured in the know people or their favourite reporters, and sometimes they give them snippets to put out there. Now, yeah, at the end of the day, I don't know. I really don't know what Tottenham are going to do. I don't know who Tottenham want to sign. I don't know who Tottenham want to let go, and it's going to be a wait and see. It's going to be a wait and see. I mean, I saw stuff in there, Blaine, to say that Solomon, for all intents and purposes, as the season was finishing, Solomon was all but set to go to Leeds. Everyone thought in the Tottenham community that Leeds would come in, a bit like they did with Joe Rodon last season. Leeds would come in and Solomon would go to Leeds. Solomon's enjoyed his time. Solomon had a really good loan at Leeds, and everyone thought that he was going to go. However, I mean, I don't know what the Leeds perspective is on this, but you've got aggregators out there turning around and saying that Thomas Frank wants Solomon at Tottenham for the start of next season. That's another winger, isn't it? That's another winger. At the moment, I think that all sensible stuff would be Thomas Frank is not a mug. Thomas Frank knows our squad because Thomas Frank obviously sets up his teams and he sets his teams up to play against each individual opponent, and therefore he'd know a lot about Tottenham because he's faced Tottenham 8 times definitely in league games, with a home and an away game, and they've been in the Premiership for 4 years. It means that he would have faced Tottenham, not faced the same manager, but faced Tottenham 8 times. He knows our players because they do the file and they do the tactical analysis on the opponents. So he'll know our players. He'll know them from afar, and he'll know them when they've played on the pitch for them games. But now he's going to be first hand. I don't know whether he knows enough about them already from the analysis they do against opponents, or whether he wants to see them in pre-season when they first return. And I can't remember. I don't know the exact date that Tottenham are returning, but it will be. It's going to be 2 weeks away, and it'll be the beginning of July. That's what it normally is. And then I don't know whether he makes a decision then on who he wants and who he doesn't want. Let's face it, and I'll leave this up to you guys. And this is still answering Blaine. You've got Sonny. There's rumourings around Sonny as well, but you've got Sonny, you've got Odebert, you've now got Tell, Solomon, Mikey Moore, Brennan Johnson. Am I missing anyone? Am I missing anyone? There's 6 people, 6 already, unless I'm missing anyone. So therefore, we got 6. Are they the best 6? I'll leave that to you guys. Everyone's got their own opinions. I certainly feel that we need strengthening. And then you've got the 2 down the middle at the moment. You've got Richarlison, Solanke, and possibly Lancashire as a 3rd at the moment. So could we do with players up there? Are them players going to stay? There's rumours about Richarlison as well. You know, are they going to stay? I think with defence, we're probably there or thereabouts. There's not much upgrading that we're going to be able to do in defence. I think even though we conceded goals, we scored goals last year, but with the defence, with the defence, you've got who have you got? You've got Spence, Porro, Romero, Danso, Van der Ven, Vuskovic, Dragusin, and you've got a doggy. So possibly we're being linked to another link. We're being linked with the young Ajax hybrid left backs, left back or left wing back and left centre half. Jaro Hatta, I think his name is. 19, meant to be really, really top prospect. Another 19-year-old. Yeah, Davis as well. Sorry, you're right. I'm not including Phillips Nick because I think Phillips is so far away from the first team at the moment at Tottenham. I think Dorrington's far away as well, Nick. I think there's a lot of these players that are going to be loaned back out this season. A lot of the youngsters. And then with the midfield, yeah, people have talked about what's his name? Kulusevski being able to play wide. But really, Kulusevski's more of a player. I can play wide, but he's more of a player down the middle for us. So yeah, to me, there's a lot. It's all undecided. There's a lot that needs to happen, and it's all undecided, Blaine. But for me, I'd prefer, from what we have, I'd like to see us look at other options. But we're being linked with everybody in sundry. You're in Bamos, Semenyos, your Ezes, all through different aggregators. But we really don't know what's occurring. I'm going to take this banner off at Happy Father's Day to everyone. No, do you know what? I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it for a second. You've got Danny Talks Leeds. Good morning, Danny. I hope you're well. Sister Smash, like, subscribe, please. On Father's Day, people. Good morning. Happy Father's Day, Danny. Lee Wiz says, don't mind me, just sitting and listening whilst I pretend to do chores. Wiz, you do whatever you need to do, sir. Ange Ball, good morning, says, big up Jose and happy Father's Day. Oh, come on, you Spurs. Good morning, Ange Ball. I hope you're well. And then he says, as long as we get in Bueno, then I'm willing to accept it. But he certainly wouldn't have been my first choice. The fact that our first signings are Davis and Tell doesn't exactly scream ambition from the board yet again. And there's a lot of time left in the window. I just hope they prove me wrong. In my opinion, it's imperative signing Bueno. I really do feel he's a needle mover. We need to replace the Sonny void. And if United do end up getting him, they too will be a different proposition. We need him, Bueno. Come on, you Spurs. Spurs fan John says, Frank likes to adapt systems. A number of our wingers can play as second strikers in front too, although the squad will need trimming. Trimming means you're not bringing players in, John. Hay says, apparently Spurs landing Bueno, Man United are going for plan B with Eze and Semenyo. Honestly, in that case, I'll take plan B, says Page. McAllister trying to get us to buy Romero. He seems a bit of a dick to me, though. What do you reckon, Jose? Romero, if he leaves Tottenham, right, if Tottenham decide to sell him or cash in on him, it's got to be the right price, right? To me, I think that if we bought Romero for 42.5 million, if we're selling Romero, knowing that since we've bought him, he's become a Copa America World Cup winner, blah, 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 I can't see Tottenham. In a world of mad transfers at the moment, I can't see Tottenham getting rid of him or releasing him for anything under 70 million, to be honest. So when I see 30 million and 40 million being bandied about, I'm just thinking to myself, you're having a laugh. Unless you just want to break even on a player, then, you know, you're having a laugh. I don't know whether that's all paper talk and that, because I thought that Liverpool were already set with Konate and Van Dijk. The Liverpool play a certain system already. You still got Kwanzaa there at the moment, and you still got Joe Gomez at your club. So you still got players at your club, and you don't exactly know what's going on with them. I wouldn't read too much into it, Lee, to be honest. Tagara said, it's about the outs first, then we'll do the ins. That's just what the club does. Good morning good evening to Kiwi Spurs TV. I hope you're well, sir. I hope you're well. Good morning, Jess. Happy Father's Day, Jose. Happy Father's Day to you as well, Jess. I did say this morning when I first came on, it's not all about just dads, it's the mums that are single parents that act like fathers as well. So happy Father's Day to you as well. Yeah, 20 minutes ago, broke the toe, completed his deal. You got harmless, the harmless percent says, good morning, all. Big up, Jose. Good morning, just harmless percent. I hope you're well. Scott's here, says, hello, Jose. Good evening to you, Scott. I hope you're well, sir. I hope you're well. It's been a minute. Giddy Hat says, Frankie wants Solomon, now tell sign permanent. No way Spurs are signing him by Moreze. It's old dirty tricks of Levy. Wayne says, I doubt the Tottenham board usually know what they're doing. I reckon they throw names in the hat and do the transfer business that way, says Wayne. Good morning, Dan. I hope you're well, sir. Dan Davenport has been up his own way. Good morning, Dan. Hope you're well. Happy Father's Day to you. Wayne Bonner says, I'd like to see Solomon get at least pre-season to see if he'll fit under Frank. It's another winger. George, good morning. Happy Father's Day, says Ange dared to do and won a trophy. That's how you repay him. Dan says, fine, I must have been made Wayne Beansley's channel earlier Sunday morning. Spurs fan John says, Ben Jacobs said on Last Words of Spurs last night, and Buemo only wants United. That's why I said earlier, John, that, you know, there's different stories. You got people saying that Tottenham have spoken to initiated a conversation with Mbeumo, but the feeling is that Mbeumo wants Man United, and that the Tottenham stuff is smokescreen to try and get Man United to meet the asking price for Mbeumo, which they haven't done already. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's cattle season. It's cattle season. Whilst the transfer window's open, it'll be cattle season, and it's no different to every other year. We'll be linked to 400 players. If you've got so from the end of the season till the beginning of September, if there's 100 days in between that, whatever the days is, 4 players per day you'd be linked with, and then you can make up the number that you've been linked with throughout the transfer window. Ange Ball says, I expect to tell as long as we can get Mbeumo. Then if we could get Grealish, I'd be happier. But if we don't get Mbeumo, I'd be furious. United will be much stronger than us next season if they get Mbeumo, and they'll be playing 1 game a week. And I'm not rubbing it in. It's just that we know teams that play one game a week seem to do better than teams that are playing in Europe. The year that we lost out to Leicester in the Premiership, I remember us playing Leicester in, I think it was a replay, the FA Cup, and it was the 3rd round. It was a January game. I think it was the 3rd round. And we won 2-0. And at that point, I turned around and I said, we won't win the league this season. Leicester will win it. And people thought I was mad. And I said, well, Leicester have now just got the league to concentrate on, where we were still in the FA Cup. We were still playing in the Europa League or something. Yeah, the Europa League at the time. And we were still chasing the league. And obviously we had a really good 11, but we didn't have a big extensive squad, and we were concentrating on 3 cup trophies, and we didn't end up winning it. Following season was a season that Chelsea had a poor season, didn't they? And Chelsea weren't in Europe either, and I think Chelsea went on to win the league and we didn't. So at the end of the day, when teams aren't in all these trophies and are concentrating just on the league, you get a better chance. You got teams like, look at Newcastle 2 years ago. Newcastle qualified for the Champions League. They didn't have the squad big enough because they weren't a Man City or a Liverpool, and they didn't get far in the Champions League. But their league form suffered, and they finished, I don't know, outside of the top 4 or 5. They finished outside of all the European places. They didn't qualify for Europe this season, did they? Last season. So, you know, and now they've qualified for the Champions League again, and so they'll be playing loads again. So Man United, I think it might work well for Man United that Man United haven't got Europe, so it'll be better for them. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Half an hour late. You told me to do the show for 9 o'clock. and now you're half an hour late. Oh my God, what are you like?
I'm so sorry, Jose. I think there was a miscommunication. I thought you had stuck to your original 9:30 schedule. And it just dawned on me that you are going to be starting at 9. So I really have to apologize for showing up late. But I'm glad, I still am glad all the same that you went ahead with the show. And without further ado, a very, very good morning, good afternoon, good evening to those of you from down under. Chang here. I believe this is episode 13 of Jose and Chang. I would like to take this opportunity to wish everybody a very, very happy Father's Day, uh, regardless of regardless of your nationality, your demographic. And yeah, exciting times ahead now that Thomas Frank has been officially unveiled. Let's just see where this new rebuild takes us, where this new project takes us, and absolutely looking forward to preseason now that we've all but confirmed to be playing in Korea against Newcastle. And I believe there was another friendly that's also been announced.
Luton.
That is correct. We'll be playing Luton Town prior to going to Korea. So absolutely looking forward to that as well. But more importantly, I will be on the lookout for any news of Paratici. I've been speaking about Paratici for a good, 3-4 episodes now, even before the Europa League final, ever since it was reported that he had turned down AC Milan. So I am very much looking forward to any updates on Fabio Paratici. But otherwise, yeah, let's get all these rumors and also confirmed transfers on the road now that Matthias Tell has been given the go ahead to make his loan move permanent.
He
Having said
signed.
that,
He signed. He signed. About 3 minutes after I came on this morning, the news broke that he signed permanently. So they've signed him. They signed him at 3 minutes past, or the announcement was 3 minutes past 9 this morning. Nigel Pure Coys here. Morning, Jose and chat. Much love to you. Currently watching from a coffee shop, watching the world go by. Happy Father's Day, Nigel. I hope you're well, sir. Do I think we'll go for Ivan Toney? No, I don't think so. Ivan Toney, I think the ship sailed last year with him, or the year before. Pace says, United stronger with Mbeumo on paper, yes, but this is Man United we're talking about. They managed to drag the new toys down to everyone else's level. And then you've got, look at that, Phil P says, woo, good morning, Phil. Happy Father's Day. Sorry, I see, you made another comment. Sorry, big up, Jose, just gathering the strength to get out and go to a Father's Day run. Come on, you Spurs, come on, you Spurs, come on, you Spurs. Enjoy your run, Phil, and happy Father's Day in however you're going to celebrate it with you and yours. And I hope they treat you well, sir. Happy Father's Day to all the dads, is what people are saying. Ange says, apart from Sonny, they are all works in progress. None of them have produced anything to suggest they're going to lead us to the top 6 finish. We need Mbeumo, not Tell. Our club know how to kill a vibe. Dead. Please smash a like button like a Romero tackle or tweet, says Phil P. Wayne Bonner, get about 20 to 25 million for Basuma and let him go, being a consistent DM. Shemtam says, good morning, Mr. Bossman Jose. Hope you're doing well today. Telf signing first gives me deja vu with the Werner loan signing last year as the first signing. Ange Ball says, Spurs just squander their money on square pegs in round holes and players that aren't anywhere near the finished article. Shocking recruitment. Mr. Chang has arrived. People are saying hello to Mr. Chang. Blank says, Jose, points deduction for Chang or a fine. 30 minutes late is even worse than City's 119 charges. Tut, tut. Daniel, good morning, Dan, says big up Jose and Chang. Good morning, Dan. I hope you're well, sir. And Shemtan then says, is that you then appeared, Chang. Morning to the youngest looking late old man, Mr. Chimichanga Chang. Happy Father's Day to you, Mr. Jose, and to Mr. Chang's dad, because he's too young to be a father. Daniel says, oh, sorry, handsome lad, says Rinketic. Yeah, announced about half an hour ago. I'm not a fan of Tel, but all the more confident in Thomas Frank being able to coach him, in my opinion. Happy Father's Day to you, Chang. It's coming in from Phil P. Ange says, I genuinely believe if we don't get Mbeumo, then we're done. And the best outcome we can look forward to next season will be a top 10 finish. Between 8th and 10th, we won't win anything. Neither Antoine Semenyo are the answer. Neither Eze or Antoine Semenyo are the answer. Spurs think that's harsh until he's got much higher ceiling than Werner and plays as both a wide player and a 9 for France under 21. He's only 19. Give him time. Right. So, Chang, if I'm going to go back, because I'm going to have to go back on this, we did a show. The last show we did was the Sunday after we won in Bilbao. Yeah. So it was a euphoric show because obviously we are European champions, or we just became European champions. And we did a show 4 days later because our show comes on a Sunday and we won it on a Wednesday. And we also had the parade on the Friday. So we talked about the winning and the parade and everything. And we didn't do, you asked me, are we doing a show? And I said, there's no news to talk about. There's no point doing it. And I wanted to have a break from YouTube after a long season. And then obviously last week we had the news because it's only 9 days old now. We had the news 9 days ago that Ange had been relieved of his duties or that they parted company, however which way, shape, form you want to look at it. So it's basically, you and I are playing catch up because we haven't talked. So Ange, Chang, Ange has left. Your thoughts on Ange?
I think it's a bit, I wouldn't say it's unfair, but probably unjust to release him so soon after winning the Europa League. I know that the league form has been atrocious, to say the least, but I think there is some sort of justification as to how we went about just scraping past opponents or even just avoiding piling on the injuries before that final in Bilbao. If you remember, I think as far back as the Frankfurt game, even before we played Bodo Glimt, I did mention how Big Ange should just play the substitutes, the bench warmers, or even the youngsters in our remaining last few league matches, just so he can keep the squad fully fit for Bilbao. And this was made all the more apparent when we lost Kulusevski just under a week before Bilbao. And it was very, very nervy for us going into that final without the likes of Madison, Kulusevski, I mentioned, and also Bergvall. But fortunately for us, we pulled through. So with that in mind, I'll say that the last few defeats were, pretty much warranted. Even the final home game against Brighton was almost a foregone conclusion. How any of those players were even able to put on even half an hour is a bit of a miracle, given how they were so inebriated and wasted from the parade and all the celebrations following the win in Bilbao. But I mean, there were multiple times this season alone where Big Ange's tactics, or rather his lack of tactics, were called into question. And again, that was also quite apparent in the lead up to the final, where there were many games where I thought we could have won rather more comfortably, but rather we had to take the hard way out, or rather we had to take the hard road out. So all in all, I think, yes, there are justifications as to why he should have been released, if not even sooner, possibly even before the final. But I'm glad he got us over the finish line in the final. And I wish him all the very best in his future endeavors, wherever that might be. However, I do say this with a caveat, as that I still feel he should have at least been given a chance to contest the Super Cup against PSG. Uh, this, I think, is the one big talking point for me in whether Big Ange has to be shown the door or to be kept on board. If he had been kept on board and we were to lose very badly to PSG, and then we fail to bring in recruits because of his tactics, or the way he sets the team up, then by then it might have already been far too late to even approach the likes of Thomas Frank or De Zerbi or anyone else who would be his apparent suitor. So all in all, I would say that the odds are slightly in favor of the Ange out camp, in which they got their wish at long last. Big Ange has left the building. And I have to mention this one last time. I really do wish him all the best. And wherever he does go next, I am looking forward to see if he does win another trophy in his second season, wherever he may coach next. But all of that is said and done. Big Ange has left the building. Welcome, Thomas Frank. Absolutely looking forward to what he can bring to the club, what he can bring to the team. But don't expect him to be working miracles anytime soon unless we strengthen, and we strengthen wisely. Let's see if there are any truth to these rumors behind the Mbeumo ongoing talks, if they even are ongoing at all. And I think I really still do think we still need to reinforce in a few other departments, not just the forward department. That defensive midfield department you mentioned earlier, from one of the listeners who put it in the chat, that we need a new DM if we can get Bissouma out the door. Possibly even another centre back, assuming Dragushin won't be ready for pre-season. We might need to get another centre back primed and ready to replace Ben Davies if, and this is a big if Luka Vuskovic isn't going to be the answer, if he's not going to be part of Thomas Frank's plans. But a lot to digest with this Thomas Frank's his signing. But I still wish Big Ange all the very best. And here's Gaffer for the Europa League, and onwards and upwards, as he mentioned in his final parting words. Having said that, back to you, Jose.
Yeah, so obviously we've not spoken. We haven't spoken since we last did the show. So I'm just going to say that for me, unless someone's heard me say this before, but Chang, you've obviously not been on with me. I thank Ange for what he's done. He bought us a trophy. We didn't brought him as if he went out and paid money for it. He got us the trophy. Him and the team, they got us the trophy. It's something we've been crying out for a long, long time. A new generation of fan, because I'm older and there's a lot of people that are younger than me, aren't there, Chang? And so we've got a new generation of people that have actually seen Tottenham win silverware now. So there's a lot of thanks that goes to Ange and the team for bringing home that trophy. And that magical night of the 21st of May, and also that magical day of the 23rd of May, where 250,000 people lined the streets of Tottenham and Edmonton for the trophy parade, which is absolutely magnificent. And it's 2 days, or 48 hours, should I say, of people's lifetimes that they'll never, ever forget. So for that, I do thank Ange. And yeah, a sentimental person in me would like to see Ange go and do well elsewhere. I am a believer, and I said this back in probably January time or before, that if Ange goes, because there was a lot of women in Ireland at the time, and I said if Ange goes, I think Ange, because obviously it's dependent on his age, he's now 59, approaching 60, depends whether he wants another 5 years, 4 years of work or whatever. I did say that if he does stay on to become manager when he leaves Tottenham Hotspur, that I believe that he will find a job in the top 5 leagues in Europe. It doesn't have to be a Champions League team or a Europa League team. I just said in the top 5 leagues. So it remains to be seen where he goes. Like all the other managers, I'm a bit different to people. With all the other managers, I like to see how they get on after they've left Tottenham, because obviously when you leave Tottenham, you operate and you manage under different restrictions, or unrestrictions, because a lot of stuff seems to be restricted at Tottenham. So would like to see him do well, but I cannot ignore. I was one of the, and I know you were, Chang, as well. There's a few of us that really, really hang on to the last, with fingernails still hanging on to Ange to see whether he could change things around and that. Yes, he got us a trophy in that, but in the league we have been appalling. And I've seen the argument from people to say that to dare is to do. It's all about glory, glory, Tottenham Hotspur, and we got the glory by winning that trophy. But then people are then talking about the league, and I get the argument from both sides, because people say it's the bread and butter is the league, but ever since I've been a Tottenham supporter, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again for you, Chad, I've been supporting Tottenham now for what will be coming up to 51 years. And in 51 years, I've only ever seen Tottenham compete for the title 3 seasons in 51 years. So 2 seasons under Pochettino, which I believe that we competed for the title. And then in 1987, when we had Clive Allen, and that we finished 3rd in the league. That's, to me, we competed for the title that season as well. So I've only ever seen us compete for the title 3 times in 51 years. So Tottenham have always been known as a cup team. And, so where's this bread and butter, the league, when we're not a league side, but the league is your barometer. You get tested over a 38-game season. And when you get tested over a 38-game season, you end where you end, because that's where you deserve to be, on merit, for 38 games. And we finished 17th, and 17th is just not good enough. You need to be finishing far higher for a club of Tottenham stature. Yes, with finishing that low, you're going to talk about, if we were looking at top, what are we going to say? We're going to say top 5 ambitions, top 4, because people talk about top 4, but now that you've got the coefficient points, sometimes you can get in as a top 15. Well, even to top 4, I'm going to say top 4. I think the ambitions would have been at Tottenham finishing the top 4 last season, seeing they finished 5th the year before. And when you're talking about 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, you're talking about a difference of 13 places at 3.1 million per place. You're talking about Tottenham would have lost in prize money alone £40 million. Now, a club as rich as Tottenham, believe it or not, people, a club as rich as Tottenham, that affects the board. That affects the model that Tottenham operate under, because they factor in, that they want to be in the European spots every season, and we were not. And so therefore I can understand why the decision was made, but for me, till I go to my grave and beyond, Postecoglou will be seen as a hero for bringing home that trophy. He would be the 3rd, is it the 3rd highest? He sits 3rd, doesn't he? So he sits behind Bill Nick and the General, Keith Birkinshaw. He's the 3rd most successful manager, because it's purely based on the trophy that he's won. He's the 3rd most successful manager in Tottenham's history. And that's it. It will never change. He's in the history books forever and a day. So I thank him for what he's done. He's now moved on. We've now brought in Thomas Frank. So the thing I will say to you, tell me about Thomas Frank first, Chang, and then I'll pose some questions to you. So welcome, Thomas Frank. Thank you, Ange. And now we welcome Thomas Frank.
So I did touch a bit about Thomas Frank earlier when I was speaking of Postecoglou's exit, in which I welcome Thomas Frank into the fold, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in terms of rebuilding, or rather reshaping this squad from whatever leftovers Postecoglou shaped in his mold. So it will be very interesting to see how many incomings are going to be added to the squad if we aren't going to be promoting any of the youngsters the same way we brought Bergval into the fold. I personally would wait till maybe about the second or maybe even the third week of a preseason to have a good look at what Thomas Frank thinks of the current crop of players that we have. And that goes for the likes of our Elfie Divines, the Will Lancashires, the Elfie Dorringtons, not to mention the Luka Vuskovics and the Ashley Phillips that we still have on top of players like Yan Ming Hyuk. I'm also very interested to see what Thomas Frank is going to do to the likes of Manor Solomon, if he does have a future with us, having played so well for Leeds United and helping them to gain promotion into the Premier League this season. But I'm still rather unconvinced, it's got to be said, about Thomas Frank. Yes, I know he's done a good job at Brentford, but is he what we need to take our club to the next level? Especially competing on all fronts, be it the domestic competitions, the league proper, or even in Europe. I think that remains to be seen. Don't get me wrong. I think he does have what it takes, but let's just see. Let's just wait and see how he fares against PSG. That I think is the single toughest, but also the best possible way we can sort of benchmark how good Thomas Frank is for us and also for the players under his tutelage. I'm not expecting miracles, don't get me wrong. I'm still expecting PSG to win that Super Cup. Although I believe Thomas Frank and especially the players, they would want to prove the world that our Europa League triumph was no fluke and that we are worthy opponents for the Super Cup. Let's just not make it into another 5 more thrashing for PSG, much the way they did against Inter Milan in the Champions League final. So yes, Thomas Frank does have a big task on his hands, but I fully support him as I do any manager at the helm of our club. And let's just see if he has what it takes to work with a bigger budget. Now, that's not to say that Daniel Levy and Enoch are going to be, breaking transfer records anytime soon when I say that. But with the right players and the right approach towards first team selection on match days, I believe Thomas Frank can be what we need. But let's just wait and see first. I'm not going to get overly excited, much the way I wasn't too keen on Big Ange at first when he took over from Ryan Mason. So let's just wait and see. I really do hope that Thomas Frank would be the one to stay with us long term, much like Arteta for a certain other North London club. But yeah, I think the jury is still out on Thomas Frank. But all the same, I wish him all the very best. Welcome, Thomas Frank, and absolutely looking forward to what you can provide for the club. Having said that, back to you, Jose.
Right, let me just catch up with the chat, Chang, and then we can move it on because you were nice and early today, Chang. Right, Phil P. Look, says Mr. Chang's beauty regimen means it's tough for him to get on stream on time. Looking young takes time, people. Heavy irony. Phil P. is brilliant, isn't he? Ange says we should have signed Jalparini if anyone from Bayern Munich, not tell. Good morning, Nita. Nita says, hi, Jose, Chang, and Chat. Good morning, Nita. I hope you're well. Good morning to Paul Pablo says, hello, Jose and Chang. Good morning, Paul. I hope you're well, sir. Chang, it would not work out if getting rid after the Super Cup. The whole planning would be correct. Dan says the club made the correct decision, picked common sense over being sentimental. Yeah, Paul Parra says, I've seen the warning signs again. If we sign Tell, it shows Levy is still playing his games. Ange Ball says, I am very happy with the Frank appointment. I'm just disappointed with the lack of ambition shown from the board signing Davis and Tell. Davis is blocking the pathway for developing our players. We will talk about players once I've caught up with the chat. We'll talk about some of the players that we've been linked with. Rinketic says, Tell fits Thomas' system more than more. Spurs fan John's got the right idea. Look, says, click the like button, everyone. Please, everyone. Spurs fan John says, then could more be used in a 10 role in a 4-2-3-1, not week in, week out. He's not even 18 for a few more weeks. Let's not expect too much. Hopefully, Moore is okay after the injury late last night for the under-19s. Wayne Bonner says, initially I thought the Frank interest was somewhat underwhelming, but the last week or so I've settled into it. I'm looking forward to see what he brings. Paul Pablo says, Ange would not get another job in the Premier League. I said the top 5 leagues, Paul. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see, because he is coming towards possibly, and I don't want to be give him a disservice here, but he might be coming towards the end of his managerial career at 59. But if he wants another role and he wants to stay in management, I think he'll get a top. He can get a top job in the top 5 leagues. Queen Els Bells. Good morning, Jose and Chang, you darlings. Much love and a very happy Father's Day to you both, and all in the chat. Going out later, treating Tios to a great day out, celebrate. Happy Father's Day to Tios as well, then, Ellie. Nice to have you here. Ange Ball says, it's annoying because Davis and Tell are taking up limited squad numbers. We also already have Solomon, who's far more consistent than Tell. Better distribution and far closer to the finished article. Dan, when we was talking about Ange earlier, is saying it's 1 win in 5 months, and that was against Southampton. Wayne Bonner says the home record was abysmal. People talking to each other. Oh, look at that. There's a guy called Eltel Cockroach. Says, smash a like for the stream, guys and girls. It all helps. Phil P. Some of the best people alive today are on screen or in the chat. Woo! Right, Ange Ball says, and we're nearly there, nearly caught up. Levy doesn't want us to win the league, because if we ever did, we'd demand it again. And then the demand and the pressure would be to repeat it, and would mean competing with the top clubs financially. Ange Ball says, and that's far more risky for business because you have to buy the best players on the highest wages. Queen Elsbell says, I saw Frank go to Gary Lineker home for dinner. It was a great watch. He's a totally different character to Ange. I like his personality, yet alone his abilities as a coach. Another person says, yeah, hit the like button if you're enjoying this, says Dan. Rinketti says, okay, Tell us an inside forward and he was used as a winger under Ange. Of course he won't play well. Now when Frank plays 3 strikers with 2 inside forwards, he should fit the Thomas system. Paul Parra says, Chang, Frank is not a magic man. He needs quality players. The squad is very, very poor. David Shear, good evening to you, sir. Says, g'day, Jose, Chang and Cobbers. Good evening, Mr. Shear. I won't say anything about the Pro Tees tanning you yesterday in the World Championship. I'll keep that one quiet. Ange Ball says, he wants to keep us chopping a bit, but not quite getting it. He's dangling a carrot that you never get. We also have Kuva. Kuva's changed his name. Look, Kuva 2025 European League champions. Come on, you Spurs. Let's big up Jose Chang and all in the chat. Happy Father's Day to you, Kuva. And I hope you are well, sir. Nice to see you here. Good morning. People can slate Matthias Tell as much as they want. He's our player now permanently. Even if you don't rate him, I don't. I'm sure giving him a chance, he's a permanent Tottenham player now. As Phil P says, a VAR correction. Woolwich is a South London club. Nearly caught up. Colin Blackshire says, morning, gents. New boss, hey, great move. And we've got the more I see playing for England under 19s, he was the best player by far, and he was played as a number 10. I did watch the highlights last night. He did play a good game. Then you've got Norman saying, hi guys from Oz. I'm a big Ange fan. Don't think he was given a fair go by Levy, but I think Frank is a good coach and will do well. Already signs of lack of support from Levy. A lot of the people are saying more or less the same thing, aren't they? You have the best chatters in the land, Jose. It's true, says Queen Ellie. And then you've got what a crap pitch, Jose. All I'm saying, yeah, but you both batted on it twice, and you both had to bowl twice. Best team won, David. Best team won. Cooper says signing subject confirms for me what I've always said. This club very rarely makes signings for a manager. They make club signings. That's a scenario that Frank is used to. Hopefully he blossoms. Sorry, Chang, you were going to come in and say. I'm
Yeah,
now
I
quiet with the
had.
chat. Sorry.
Yeah, no, because there were a few messages that mentioned Matthias Tell and his confirmation about an hour earlier, as you were about ready to start the show at 9. I honestly feel that the decision about Tell would have been discussed with Thomas Frank, whether Thomas Frank was interested or if he felt it was necessary to make Tell's loan signing permanent, that this would have been something that would have been discussed with the new incoming manager rather than just signing him on a whim because he comes cheap or maybe because he's already acclimatized. I honestly feel that in order for Thomas Frank to actually properly work for us, not just for a season or two, possibly for the long-term future, he needs to have a say in all of these signings, be it loan signings or permanent signings, or even outgoings too, for that matter, whether it's permanent transfers or just loaning out to other clubs. I I think the only way that this will ever work is if Thomas Frank has a say in all of them. And let's just wait and see if Tell is the right fit for Thomas Frank. But the other dealings going behind the scenes, like Ben Davis being confirmed shortly after Big Ange was released, and before Thomas Frank was even confirmed. I think that is the club signing right there, or rather, that is a club decision to make our longest serving player, I believe he is now, Ben Davis, our longest serving player from Pochettino's days, I believe, way back in 2015, that long ago. So those are the club signings that I believe should more or less be automatic, regardless of what Thomas Frank thinks. But all the other new signings, especially from this preseason onwards, I think Thomas Frank now has a massive, massive job on his hands to ensure that the players that are brought in are the players that he wants, or rather players that suit his system. It's one thing getting, say, someone like a Kevin Nkudu or a Clinton Njai, any of these players that don't really suit Pochettino or AVB, possibly even Jose. So any new signings coming in would have to be aligned with what Thomas Frank has set up for us. And let's just wait and see. Let's just keep calm, be patient. Don't get overly worked up over the lack of activity. You have to understand that now that Thomas Frank is on board, things are going to be different, especially the way we operate, be it last minute, last gasp deals or panic buys or panic signings towards the latter stages of the transfer window. I just hope that Thomas Frank himself has a good idea of what he needs to strengthen and bolster the squad before we take on PSG. And having said that, I have to add that any of the permanent signings, especially those players that walk straight into our starting 11, they should be ready to be fielded against PSG. I think that is very, very critical. Whatever happens after the Super Cup against PSG, those would be one for the future, possibly signings to be loaned out again, much like Vuskovic and Ashley Phillips, even Yen Ming Hyuk at some point last season. So that I think is going to be very telling. The players that we bring in before the Super Cup against PSG. Anything else, I think, is just going to be a bonus. Having said that, back to you, Jose.
So you've got a lot of people in the chat. I think people are more or less saying the same thing here. Let me see if we've got anyone new just come in. Let me say hello to anyone that's new. Yeah, you've got Paul Van Veen says, I like Tel. He seems to have love for the club already and he will get better. So you've got Norman has asked a question. So Norman said, what would be an okay result for this coming season under Frank? And some people are responding back to Norman. You've got Kuba says top 8 and looking like a side that's organised and much harder to beat than last season is okay. Top 6 is good and top 4 would be brilliant. Dan has come back saying fight for a top 6 place this season, get us to the last 16 or 8 of the Champions League, and to target winning the domestic cup. I'm really fixated now on winning the FA Cup. So now that we've won a trophy, and Dan's seeing that, Dan wants another trophy. And then you've got Phil P says to finish 6th Super Cup and qualify for the knockout round of the Champions League. I'm happy with that for Tottenham, says Phil P. Good morning, John Fitzpatrick. John, happy Father's Day. I hope you're well. Paul Van Beek, happy Father's Day as well. I didn't say it to you. John Fitzpatrick says, making signings like Tel shows me there's no ambition again. Tel is a bang average footballer. What a waste of money. This stinks of Levy again. I'm worried now. Generally, you've got people more or less saying the same thing. And he says big up to everyone. But what I'm going to say, Chang, right, is I probably look and view things slightly different. Sonny and Ben Davies, they've both been given year extensions by Tottenham. Do you see it as club signings that Tottenham want to keep them for a year, yeah, and have done this just to keep them? Or do you think that Tottenham, or could it be, I'm not going to say do you think, because I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the way that I'm viewing it is Tottenham have done this to protect themselves because, let's say Davis isn't on the highest wages, is he? You know, but Sonny is on a higher wage. But there's a possibility as well that Tottenham have signed these extensions because people are sniffing around these two players, and rather than let them walk out the door for nothing, by signing them on a further year's contract means that if you are going to let them go, because people do make bids for them, then you're going to get a little bit of money for it. So someone like, there is a lot of rumouring that Wrexham are looking at Ben Davies. Right, Ben Davies is 32, 33, but they are looking at him, and that if they were to sign him, Tottenham would get £2.5 million or something for him. So it makes sense for Tottenham to sign him on for a further year if something like that's going to happen, because I think that we're quite stocked in defence. Whether they're right or wrong defenders, I think we're quite stocked. With Sonny, again, Sonny, is it an asset that's being protected, or is it that Tottenham do see him playing out a further year of football? Because there's not long ago, I'll go back 3 to 4 years ago, Liverpool under Klopp really liked Sonny. Really liked Sonny. And they were prepared to pay up to three figures for Sonny. And so were Saudi clubs 3 years ago. So there's a lot of rumourings around at the moment saying that the Saudi clubs are prepared to pay up to 50 million for Sonny. So do you think it's Tottenham? I'm just going to talk Davis and Sonny at the moment. I think Tottenham, and it's my personal opinion, I think Tottenham have protected themselves with these two players in the possibility that they will get some money for them if people come in from this summer. Before you answer, let me just say hello to Yeti. Big up LTEL. Good morning, Yeti. Happy Father's Day, mate. Nice to see you, Yeti. Good, he's a good chap, Yeti. Good chap. Not in the Forest supporter, but his own channel called the Yeti's Cave. He's a really nice fella. John Fitzpatrick says, Cooper, I hope so. I hope I'm overreacting and we get some big players in the door. Unless we sign quality forwards, we aren't doing anything in the Champions League. Shem says it's a catch-22, Mr. Jose. We want experienced players to come in, but then we always say you should get rid of Davis and Son, who are our most experienced players. I'm not saying get rid of them, though, Shem. I'm just saying, could it be that Tottenham have done this to protect themselves, where they will still get a fee for these players in their last year, even though in their ages? I just think that they've done a bit of protection. Happy Father's Day. Good morning to you, Ben. Says, good morning, everyone. Good thing about Thomas Frank is he doesn't have a set system. He will coach his team to do what it can with the tools he has. And then you've got a load of people saying KDM. Sorry, Chang, go on. As I was saying, what are your thoughts on that?
So with regards to the Sonny and the Ben Davis situation, I honestly think that both of them will be released at the end of their contracts. I'm thinking that possibly Sonny might just do the unthinkable and retire with us without so much as playing professional football after he's done with us, and that would be the romantic way of looking at it. But knowing Levy and the way ENIC operate, I believe they will still want to get something out of Sonny for however much we can get for him at the age that he's currently at. Whether he goes to America, the MLS, or to the Middle East, one of those Arab leagues where Cristiano Ronaldo is still plying his trade, as is Ivan Toney, amongst others. I honestly feel that he's too valuable a cash cow to just release on a free, which does have me leaning towards him retiring with us and possibly be our Asian ambassador, much like Ledley King is right now for Spurs, now that he's hung up his boots. But for me, it's very, very important that we get the best out of Sonny for even if it's just one more season. I still feel that he has a lot to offer, especially to those young players coming up the ranks. If we do see even a bit of Yang Min Hyuk this season, whom better than his own Korean national captain to be spearheading his growth and his rise up through the ranks. But again, a lot of this would be down towards Thomas Frank. All in all, I would say that both Ben Davis and Son still have a good maybe season or so left with us. I think Ben Davis, this should be his final season, and I wish him all the very best. He's been a very loyal and professional servant to the club, as has Son Heung-min. And speaking of Ben Davis and Son Heung-min, I think, Jose, it would be very, very interesting to see how Thomas Frank reselects our leadership group, if that does come to mind, whether he's going to stick with Sonny as club captain, or would he promote one of us, say Madison or Romero, to be club captain? If he feels that this is Son's last and final season with us, it's going to be very interesting. This is going to be something along the lines of what Big Ange had to deal with when we sold Harry Kane at the beginning of Big Ange's tenure with us. Let's just wait and see what this summer brings. And whoever the club captain is, after Thomas Frank has made the decision, I will also be fully behind them, and also the leadership group. Having said that, back to you, Jose.
Look at this. We've got Yeti, who, like I said, who's a really nice lad, top fella, and he's a Forest supporter, but he's a top boy. He says, Frank is a cracking appointment. I like him, and if he can get the players to build a team as strong as Brentford, this could be huge. Congrats on winning the Europa. Then, look at this, is the best one. This is the best one. Frame this one. Look, from a Forest supporter, look, going to Europe and bringing something back before Arsenal is priceless. Lol. Thank you very much, Yeti. There's no Arsenal supporters in the chat today, but I'm sure they'll be loving seeing this. I think, and as I said, I'm just looking at a different angle. I'm just thinking to myself, it could be Tottenham protecting assets. And Davis is an asset because at the end of the day, if someone's going to come in and give you £2.5 million for a 33-year-old, it's good business. It is good business. Sonny is 32, 33 as well now, Sonny. If one of these oil-rich state clubs want to come in and give you 30, 40, 50 million for him, you can only turn around and say it would be good business. At the end of the day, there is interesting times going ahead. Like I said earlier on in the show, you've got Thomas Frank has come in. You've got all the noise around players at the club. You don't know who's staying. You don't know who's going, you know. And at the end of the day, it will all be played out this summer. It's interesting because a lot of contracts finish on the 30th of June. A lot of contracts begin on the 1st of July. You've got some clubs, and it's one to keep an eye on because the window opens tomorrow. Some clubs are sailing close to the wind with PSR this season, and some players might be more forced to make emergency sales of some of their assets before the 30th of June to keep compliant with PSR. Or you're going to find that some of these clubs that need to do this will horse trade again with the Saudi teams, and they will take players off their hands for ridiculous amounts of money, which will then save them, as it did with Aston Villa last year, Chelsea the season before. I mean, someone like John Duran, £75 million he was bought for, and then Aston Villa came out of PSR. The year before, we saw he played the other day, the goalkeeper for Senegal. Is it Senegal goalkeeper? We played the other day. Edouard Mendy, who used to be at Chelsea. Kalidou Koulibaly, who used to be at Chelsea. These players were bought in. They had bad seasons at the clubs, and they were bought for inflated prices this season before in order to help Chelsea out of PSR. So unless you're going to get some dodgy dealings again, horse trading, then some clubs are going to have to get rid of players by the 30th of June. Now, with that, like I said, this is cattle season at the moment with the transfer window opening tomorrow. We will be linked with everyone in the world and everyone in sundry. But I go back to Chang, what I said earlier before you came on the show. I don't think he was here. I turned around and I said that by all accounts, everybody is unified saying that Thomas Frank is a great coach. Thomas Frank will coach the team better. He will make players better. He can adapt to different systems. He adapts to the teams that he's playing against, does a lot of homework on that. And that his talent ID and player spotting is superb, right? So we've got all that. Now, all of a sudden, Matthias Tell's been signed. And all of a sudden, because Matthias Tell has been signed, we've got the people going back to reverting to, well, it just means it's lacking ambition from the club, blah, 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 is what people are saying. And I can understand that as well. But if, by all accounts, it was Thomas Frank that said, yes, I want Matthias Tell. So he said he wants Matthias Tell. So the first signing that Tottenham have made this season that's had Thomas Frank's tick, seal of approval, is Matthias Tell, and that's what he wanted. I just think that we need to calm down. Yes, we know how this plays out with Levy and the board, or how it's played out in the past. When Paratici came in, when he first came in, we changed the way that we operated, didn't we? And people were like, oh, look, it could be different. Well, if Paratici's coming back, then it could be different again. We'll have to wait and see. Vindaloo has put in a super chat. Big up Jose and Chang. Just popping in to smash a like and show some love to the channel. Happy Father's Day and big up to the chat. My 1 in 17 Spurs friends. Vindaloo, happy Father's Day to you and your family. I hope you are well. It's nice to see you. Thank you for your support. And I hope you're well. And you enjoy today. Have a really good Father's Day and have a great weekend. He says, love you, catch you in a bit. Thank you very much, Vindaloo. I think Frank will want Son Davis for another season. Just a bit of stability, says Paul. Colin Blackshaw says, I'll take Sonny in a heartbeat for Leeds. Happy Father's Day, Colin. Queen Ellie says, what does Queen Ellie say? Thanks, Ange, as per your title, and so many who feel there's an injustice in his sacking, as I've seen the whole goal of football is to win trophies, and they said he delivered. Do you both and the chat agree or not? Chang is already nodding his head. We'll come back to that in a second. What you got? Queen Ellie says, Vinders, even though you're a gooner, you're a star as a Chan. I do love you, man. Sonny, here we go. Sonny to Saudi is a smart move. Big transfer sell opportunity of 100 million. And Sonny will likely play in the Asian Champions League. He will forever be associated with Spurs, says Tigara. Paul Pablo says, I understand what you're saying about Tell, but in the 6 months, I've never seen now from Tell to say we're signing. Paul, I was one of the people, and I suppose I've got to live and die by the sword, but I said that I think Tell can become a really good footballer with the right coaching. And I said this when we first signed him at Tottenham, and I still think now, the production, the conveyor belt that you've got in France with the youngsters. So you've got Zaire Emery at PSG. You've got Hugo Ekitike. You know, last night in the under-21 side, they had Lukeba playing at centre-half, who's absolutely superb. Odebert, Tell. You know, you've got Cherky, who's gone to Man City now. The production and conveyor belt that France have got with the youngsters is absolutely insane. And at the end of the day, if these players are coached correctly and get given opportunities to flourish, they could be worth millions and millions and millions going forward in the future. I would like to see Tottenham, instead of being a selling club and doing this model to sell. I know you've got to sell some players, but all the really successful teams in my lifetime that I've seen don't go selling their prize assets every season, you know, and don't go selling assets at all every season. Only when the time is right. These kids are young, and for me, you've got to give them a chance. As I will say, and I'll repeat again, you can't smash. I don't think that you can direct one way of traffic, and then because it doesn't suit you, then change the traffic the other way. Either Thomas Frank is a good coach, either Thomas Frank is a good tactician, Thomas Frank is a good ID talent spotter. You know, if he's all these things and we're all giving him the plus points for these things, right, then you've got to give him the plus point if he said, I want Matthias Tell. You can't then turn around and say, do you know what, I'm going to jump off the track where Thomas Frank, I'm on the train. I'm on the Thomas Frank train for everything. But when it comes to his first signing, or when it comes to the signings, it's not Thomas Frank. I'm going to jump off at the next stop, and I'm going to get the board or the Levy train back. I've been on the Thomas train now, but because this has happened, I'm now jumping on the Levy train back. You know, at the end of the day, let's see it for what it is. Thomas Frank has clearly said that he wanted Matthias Tell. So we've got to wait and see what happens. Paul says, I like Tell. He's got a great attitude. He's only just turned 20. I think he'll become a great player with good coaching. Then you've got Tottenham East. Good morning. Says, I want to see how healthy Son performs with Frank. Paul Pablo says, I understand what you're saying about young players, but when you're playing nearly 40 million and eats into transfer budget, if we pay 10 million for Tell, I'll agree. Right. So, Paul, my understanding of this deal, and someone will tell me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that the deal is worth, this is weird because you're looking in pounds and euros, right? The deal was worth 35 plus 10, right? 10 of that we've already paid because we did that with the loan. So 10 million, we've already paid 10 million from the loan transfer. So that brings the cost to 35. However, you've got to remember, this is all like moving. It's moving finances around. Bayern owe us a load of money for the Harry Kane deal still. So some of that would have come out from the Harry Kane thing. I think Dan said earlier, I think Dan was watching Last Word on Spurs, and Ben Jacobs has said, and he's quite close to Tottenham, he said the Matthias Tell deal does not detract from the Tottenham Hotspur transfer plans. So that was a side hustle, so to speak. It doesn't detract, and that's what they're saying. So at the end of the day, I hope that Ben Jacobs is correct in his reporting, and that we will then go on to chase further signings. Good morning, Paul G. Happy Father's Day, and come on, you Spurs. Happy Father's Day, Paul. I hope you are well. I'm sure Dan will come in and put a comment in there about what I've just said. So apart from Tell signing this morning, 3 minutes after I came on, I was able to break some news for once on my channel. Yippee! It's the first time for everything. So Pablo says to Jose, with Tell, we only got 60 million for Kane. These deals, right? A lot of these deals, apart from, I'll explain, Paul, a lot of these deals are monetized. So what you're doing is, whatever the cost is, you spread that over the amount of the length of the contract, or you can negotiate and pay 3 installments and 3 separate. So someone on a 5-year contract, you say, I'll pay you this in year 1, year 3, I'll give you that amount, and year 5, I'll give you that amount. Or we pay 30 million for a player and we'll spread it out over 6 million over 5 seasons, right? So when people talk about a figure, it doesn't necessarily mean that you've paid that figure out right in one go, all right? So therefore, you could spread it out, right? With someone like Eze, though, with Eze's release fee clause, I think £68 million. And at the moment, the way Eze stands is that you have to pay Eze's in one go, because that's what Palace want. You want Eze, you pay it in one go. Obviously, clubs that deal with Crystal Palace will try and say, look, don't be so mean, can't we do it, split it 2 ways, 3 years? But it's down to the selling club on how they want to do it. But generally, people are monetizing their deals over the length of the contract. So someone like, I don't know, but someone like Matthias Tell, and I haven't seen it confirmed whether he's on a 5 or a 6 year deal. There were rumours that it was going to be 6 years, but I'm not sure. But if it's a 6 year deal and you're buying someone for 30 million, let's say, Paul, then that means you're actually paying 5 million each year for the player for over 6 years, because you spread it out. So that means that with going for Tell, 1, it could be tied in with the Kane money, and 2, if it wasn't and it was a separate deal, then you're only paying whatever the fee is over 6 years. So it means you're not going to eat into all of it. But like I said, Ben Jacobs on Last Word of Spurs quoted as saying that this does not affect the Tottenham Hotspur transfer strategy. So I just think we need to calm down. Thomas has come. Transfer window opens tomorrow. I can't see us doing much until he's, like I said earlier, he's obviously set up and played against Tottenham 8 times in the league in 4 seasons, because Brentford have been up. They've played Tottenham home and away. So that'll be 8 games that we've played. And obviously Thomas Frank sets his team up to play against the opponents, so they'll have a dossier on what players are like and that. Thomas Frank will know our players from when he's preparing his teams to play against Tottenham, and then he would have seen the players play against his teams, so he'll have a fairly good idea of some of the players at Tottenham already. You just got to wait for him to come through the door. The only signings I can see Tottenham doing, because Tottenham has been so tight-lipped about everything that they're doing, the only signings I can see Tottenham are doing is if an opportunistic signing comes across where one of these clubs in peril has to get rid of players, and Tottenham might think, oh, that's a good idea, we'll go for him. They're the only signings I see happening in the next 2 weeks, up until the 30th of June. Other than that, I think all the signings will take place from July onwards, when players come back for pre-season. So Thomas Frank, Tottenham are in the unique situation, which Tottenham are the only team that have a new manager at the moment. Quite unheard of, because normally at this time of the year, going into transfer season, you've got 3 or 4 new managers. There's only one, and that's Thomas Frank. So Thomas Frank will be in a situation at the beginning of July where he'll be able to assess his team, and then we go from there. Kate says, it's here, says, morning all, happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, Kate, to Jim and to anyone else in your family that's celebrating it. Nice to have you here. Happy Father's Day. Tigara says, Tell is a good prospect, but he's 100% a club signing. Ange guaranteed in the presser earlier this year that Tell would definitely be at the club 25-26. Yeah, Tigara, because at the time that he said that, he probably thought he was going to be at the club. But it's quite clearly been stated by several of the journalists that are close to Tottenham that Thomas Frank approved the Tell signing. Nate the 8th, good morning, says, morning, happy Father's Day. Morning, Nate, I hope you're well. Chang, sorry, I've been rattling on. So, transfer dealings, players that we're linked with, what not, what we want, what we need, what we don't. Fire off. All the floor is yours.
Yeah. I mean, I have been saying this even before Big Ange was released, that we need reinforcements in certain key positions, and not just signings for the sake of signing, like proper players that can, improve us massively. And these are the sort of players that can walk into any top team in the top 5 leagues of Europe. And even if it means having to make the tough call of say dropping one of Bissouma or Bentancur in favor of a defensive midfielder, assuming Pepe Matassar and James Maddison are going to be keeping their places in the squad, as is Lucas Bergvall. And this also applies to the likes of Brennan Johnson and Wilson Odebeer. Now that Matthias Tell has all been confirmed, I think to actually show any sort of ambition would be to maybe get an upgrade over Odebeer or Tell, or not Tell, sorry, Brennan Johnson. Although Brennan Johnson, to his credit, did finish as our top scorer last season, he still is credited with the winning goal against United in Bilbao. So maybe, just maybe, Thomas Frank might be able to get something out of him, something different, something hopefully better than what Big Ange got out of him. I think it all comes down to Thomas Frank. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to start being, Paratici in the shadows and try and work out what we really need, what we can get with the budget that we have, or the profile that we're looking for. As long as Thomas Frank gets the players that he wants, rather than having players forced into his squad as mere club signings by Daniel Levy and Inic, I think that is half the battle won. But making those signings work, I think I would say that is the single hardest thing any manager has to do. You just have to ask Harry Redknapp trying to get a tune out of Gareth Bale for, I cannot remember how many league matches Bale went without a single league win before he finally broke his duck and became the Welsh legend that he is. So all in all, I will say this about our transfer dealings. Thomas Frank has to have a say in all of them, whether they are one for the future, whether they are players to walk straight into the squad, or merely as squad players like a Radu Dragushin or even a Kevin Danso. All of these players need Thomas Frank's approval. And as like I said at the beginning, when I first came on an hour earlier, I am really looking forward to pre-season and also our summer transfer dealings. I really do hope that we cut out, or rather we stop with all this promising young talent, because we have an abundance of them. We have too many players waiting in the wings to break into that starting 11. I mentioned the likes of Ashley Phillips, Luka Vuskovic, and Yang Min Hyuk. It just occurred to me, I completely overlooked Alejo Veliz. Alejo Veliz, the Argentinian, I believe he was in Espanyol. He was playing his train Espanyol shortly after we sent him out on loan. Maybe he has something to offer as well. I could be proven wrong. Maybe he would like to join up with his Argentinian teammate in Romero and prove that he has something to offer as well. All in all, it all boils down to Thomas Frank and what he feels is necessary to bring into the club and whom is surplus to requirements. Having said that, back to you, Jose.
So you have Drula. Says good morning, Jose and Chang and the Cockerel Crew. Happy Father's Day to all the active dads out there. Good morning, Drula. I hope you're well. Happy Father's Day to one and all. Right. So with I can't find the guy's name now, but Chan was saying about the youngsters. People are going to say about oven ready players. You know, there's a lot of ways that people are looking at this. But what I will say is that Tottenham are being linked with Jared Hyro or something. I can't remember. It's a 19-year-old from Ajax who is supposedly superb player, and he is a left wing back, left centre half hybrid from Ajax, but he's 19 years old. So they're saying we're linked with him. There's another Italian under 21-year-old midfielder from Rome, Hatto. That's it. Page has got him. His name is Hatto from Ajax. We're also being linked, saying that we're signing an under 21 Italian international who plays for Roma, who's had a really, really good season. And people in Italy, don't know whether it's people in Italy, but it's coming through that people in Italy are saying that he's like the regen of Pirlo, and apparently Tottenham are looking to sign him as well. So when Thomas Frank was at Brentford, and this is all I can measure it on, is Thomas Frank at Brentford, because Thomas Frank, we haven't seen him in action at the moment yet at Tottenham. Pisilli, that's right, Nate. Pisilli's the guy's name. Yeah, you're right. So with Thomas Frank at Brentford, all the players that they signed at Brentford weren't household names, weren't the finished article. We can go on saying, you know, different superlatives, weren't the finished article, were players that he coached and made better. I think that's a fair assumption to make because that's what everyone's saying about him. So what's to say he can't do it at Tottenham? Yes, I get frustrated. Yes, I get confused because I want to see people at our club that are, you know, rather than ready, so to speak, and ready to play and stuff like that. But some of the players may not fit. They might fit us, but they may not fit what Thomas Frank is looking for and what Thomas Frank wants. Yeah, you know, for me, I'd say, in all honesty, if Tottenham can sign only one, if you can sign one of Eze, Mbuemo, or Semenyo, what I'll ask the chat is, one, who would that be? And two, would that satisfy you? Or do we need to sign a lot more than one of them three? Do we need to sign two of them three of them three? Or are we saying that we need to sign at least one of them and other players that are going to be champion, you know, that are players like, I don't know, in central midfield, they're looking, you know, a Douglas Luiz from Juventus, a Paulinho from Bayern Munich. Do we need to sign a big time number 6 as well? What are your thoughts?
So I will answer this because I have to leave in about a minute or two. If I could just pick one of those players that you mentioned earlier, Jose, I would definitely go for Eze. He's been a player that we've been looking at for a good long while. And if the rumors of Son's camaraderie with Eze is anything to go by, that's one player whom I feel would improve us immensely. And being a Londoner himself, or rather plying his trade for Crystal Palace, I think it makes sense to keep him in London. He just has to make the trip up north to North London to to be playing in the Champions League with us next season, or rather this season, I should say. And if that doesn't work out well, We have our other targets, but all in all, again, I have to repeat this for the umpteenth time because I think this is the clincher here. Any signing that comes through the door has to have Thomas Frank's approval. I think that goes without saying. And if Thomas Frank himself feels that Brian Mbeumo has shown him everything that he has to offer while Thomas Frank was with him at Brentford, and that's not the kind of play that we need, then so be it. We have to move on to other targets. But again, I will say this as my closing line. In Thomas Frank, I fully support, trust, and believe him to lead the project onwards, to pick up the reins from where Big Ange is leaving, and absolutely looking forward to the official opening of the transfer window tomorrow. Please, if anyone is bothered to even listen, if you have any say in these signings, do not leave it to the last minute because we need these players in as soon as possible so that they can get up and running with our current squad and be ready for PSG, especially those players who walk right into the team and improve us immensely. Have a great weekend, everybody. A very, very happy Father's Day again to all fathers out there celebrating today. And I will look forward to seeing each and every one again, each and every one of you soon again. Okay. And having said that, it's Chang over and out from Southeast Asia. I apologize again for being slightly late today. It was a complete breakdown on communication between me and Jose. Let this be the last time that I ever be so late again for a show. But absolutely looking forward to episode number 14 of Jose and Chang when that does happen. And hopefully by then, Jose, we wouldn't have to wait too long when our next episode drops for our first official signing of this transfer window. Having said that, it's Chang over and out from Southeast Asia, everybody. Come on, you Spurs, and I'll see you again soon, okay?
Cheers,
Bye,
Chang.
everyone.
Take care, mate. Thank you. Wayne says, I don't mind one or two young players, but not as our main transfer focus and strategy. This club is profit before progress. Good morning, David. Happy Father's Day. Says, biggest waste of 35 million of all time. That money could be part of the purchase of a ready-made striker, 35 million towards Eze, 68 million, yet they waste it on these kids. Paul Pablo says, Frank unfortunately has not got the same time to improve players like Brentford. We are in the Champions League. We need quality. Dan says, Jose, you are making, it's not fair you're making me choose between Mbeumo or Eze. I actually didn't get the answer from Chang. Chang's still there. Okay, let me remove him. There we go. He's absolutely frozen on stage. I was saying to Chang, would you take would you be satisfied? And I was asking the chat, would you be satisfied with one of Eze, Semenyo, and Mbeumo? Or is that not enough? Do we need to get two out of them three? Do we need to get all three? Or are you satisfied with buying one out of them three and then getting this monster six, proven players out there like the Douglas Luiz from Juve, Paulinho from Bayern, players that are on the market and are expected to move and stuff like that. Because we're signing youngsters. So I'm just asking you guys for what your thoughts were. He actually didn't give me the answer. He went on a bit of a tangent, but I'll have to catch up with them. Shemtam, you are quite right. Red card for Mr. Chang for late in and early out of the stream. Happy Father's Day. David Clark says, if Levy can't sell Richarlison and Son and Hill, then it will limit Spurs purchases of 3 top players. Paul Pablo says, I have to be honest, Frank was not my first choice. Oliver Glasner would be mine. He has won a major trophy. Frank's first game isn't against PSG in the Super Cup. It's an away friendly to Luton Town. People are thanking Chang. Tigara says, Eze and Paulinho would do me, says Tigara. And Paul Pablo says, we need 3 players quality. David Clark says, 2 out of the 3, my choice would be Mbeumo and Semenyo. Just out of curiosity, right, I'm looking at X and someone has put this comment in there, right? Comment of the day so far that I've seen. It just makes me laugh, and the way the fan base feels at the moment. And the comment is, selling Kane to Bayern while Bayern tell in return is the modern day equivalent of selling Berbatov to United and getting Fraser Campbell. New CEO, new doff, new manager, same old shit. That's from World of Hotspur. He put that on there 14 hours ago because I was just trying to see if there's anything new on here. Right, so the defender is called Jorel Hato, Dutch, 19-year-old, plays for Ajax. He's a hybrid, but again, they're looking for a lot of money. They're looking for a lot of money for him. Last word on Spurs. Yeah, this is another one that was coming out. It's saying the agent representing Tottenham Hotspur pair, Guillermo Vigario and Radu Dragusin, has been spotted at Casa Milan for a meeting with AC Milan officials. Is there anything else Tottenham related I can see? Right. The way Thomas Frank remodeled Brentford's attack by developing many different attacking profiles in many seasons is phenomenal. It says one, Benrahma as the focal point, as a ball to feet left winger who could dribble 1 versus 1, cut inside and shoot, with Mopé as a linking 9 and Watkins off ball runs at right wing. 2, Watkins is then converted into a 9 and becomes the focal point, causing chaos with his channel runs in transition. Tony comes in as a Drogba-like 9, holding up the ball, winning aerials, but also showing an expanding set of creative passing when Brentford were promoted to the Premier League. Tony's ban then leads to Mbeumo becoming the focal point at right wing, with all attacks running through him as both the creator and the goal scorer. Tony's sale then leads to Wissa stepping up as a lethal threat in transition for Mbeumo to pass to. Brentford now have a genuine double threat again. Sade's development in the second half of last season was the final cherry on the cake, with Frank enhancing his goal threat as an inside forward. Wow, an incredible resume of attacker development. Tell & Co should be very excited about what awaits them with Frank on the training ground. And this one's coming from the Premier League panel. It's a tweet out there from the Premier League panel. All right, then we got, so yes, there's not much more. There's not much more on the Spurs front there. It is what it is at the moment that we're discussing this. So you've got Paul says, I'd be happy with one of Eze and Mbeumo and a top number 6 and a number 9. So you're actually looking for 3 players. You know, at the end of the day, the way you think the world's ended, and I know that there is going to be evidence. There's evidence that we've been shocking in the past in the transfer windows. The evidence is there, but we, I think, as Tottenham Hotspur supporters, we hope that things will be different. Paratici comes back, who knows whether things are going to be different, because for me, he definitely had Levy's ear when he first came to the club. But with saying that, it's early. It's early. There are not many clubs doing business at the moment. As I said earlier, I think that anyone that gets signed before the 30th of June, so for people to understand, the books that you release next year, so the PSR balance sheets that you have to have into the Premier League by, I don't know, October or whatever of this year, are this year's accounts, i.e. those accounts that finish on the 30th of June in 2 weeks' time. Teams like Aston Villa, unless they get bailed out by big Saudi clubs again, like they did with John Duran, teams like Aston Villa, I believe, right, are in peril because they bought in Marcus Rashford and paid his wages. They bought in Asensio, paid his wages, and all the signings that they made on the proviso that they were going to go and get. They put all their eggs in a basket and all their finances in to ensure that they would get Champions League money again, because they played in the Champions League this year, but they wanted to play Champions League football going forward. That's their model. So regardless, they didn't know how far they were going to go in the Champions League, but their model was to buy these players and bring them in to try and ensure that they got Champions League again next year. They haven't got Champions League. So someone like Aston Villa, they're saying, or people are saying out there, that they might have to sell some assets by the 30th of June. So assets, what assets what assets are they going to be? What are they going to look like? Who are they? Are you looking at Watkins? Are they looking at Ramsey? Are they looking at the boy that they bought from Man City? He played for England the other day. Anyway, all these players, who are they looking to get rid of? Because they have to make money. They're not the only one. There are others as well. And so, the only signings I can see being made are opportunistic ones where clubs are forced to sell before the 30th of June in order to tie up the PSR. Other than that, it's going to start in July, and that will mean that whether we like it or not, because we're all fans, but Thomas Frank will get an idea of the players. You'll see them back. We don't have the Club World Cup to deter us. So bearing in mind we haven't got that, it means that all the players this year will go have their holidays. They would have had their break, a proper break. The Tottenham players would have had a proper break because we haven't played a competitive game since the season finished. So they would have had that proper break. So when did we last play? On the 25th of May, I believe we last played a game of football. So 25th of May, they're due back into training on the first week of July, which would mean, let me see, what's the first Monday in July? If it is going to be like that. First Monday in July is actually the 7th of July. The 1st of July is on a Tuesday. Anyway, let's say the first week of July. It means these players would have got 6 to 7 week break, which is decent for Tottenham to have these players have such a long break, which then means that, we go again, we are rested. For some of these players, at all clubs, not just at Tottenham, it's an important year because it's a World Cup year. At the end of this season coming up, it will be World Cup, and a lot of players want to be called up for their countries. And if you want to be called up for your country, you've got to be playing. So there won't be any excuses of, I'm going to rest the whole of my defence because we're going to go for the Europa League. Players will have to play week in, week out, and be on form to be selected for their nations. And we've got quite a few players that would be in the pot for going to the World Cup. So I just think that, at the end of the day, everything's aligned with a new manager coming in, a World Cup coming up. We're going to have a decent break for our players, which means they would have got a normal natural break. We can galvanise, regroup, and start the season again. So you got here. So Paul Van Beek says, a doggy was 19 when we signed him. He too was quality. Paul Pablo says, thanks, Jose. I'm sorry I have to go. Nos vemos, as they say. Paul, take care, sir. Nice to have you here. Dan says, I think I'm picking Eze still because he's legit on his day. Can make it look like he's playing street football. He had us on toast when they beat us recently. Wiz has got a nip out. I'm going to be sending a show soon. So David Cox says the evidence has just smacked us in the face because signing top 35 million means that Levy is not going to purchase 3 other top players. It will be 1 or 2 at most. Nate the Ape says, I've read that it's 29.8 million. And then, by the way, for what it's worth, that game last night was dog shit. Suarez needs a Zimmer frame and Messi carries the whole team. Utter my 2 pence. Yeah. I stayed and watched the first half and went to bed after the first half. But it appears that they must have done better in the second half because when I looked at the stats this morning, yes, I looked at the stats. I just, to save me watching it the second half, I saw the result was 0-0 and I just looked to see who had how many shots and stuff like that. And when I looked at it, it appeared that they must have backed their ideas because it was all Al Ali in the first half. They had so many chances to be 2 or 3-0 up, I thought, in the first half. But yeah, I'm hoping we've got the England under-21s playing tonight. That's on Channel 4, I think. Yeah, it's Channel 4 at 4:30, 5 o'clock kickoff tonight. So there's some football there to watch. We've got Archie Gray playing in that tournament. And then obviously there's a game coming on Channel 5. I can't remember who's playing tonight, but there's a game on Channel 5 from the Club World Cup at least tonight. So there is some football to watch. Whilst we're, debating what Tottenham are and aren't going to do, there will be some football for you guys to watch. David Clark says Levy is not going to buy number 9. How deluded are you, Spurs fans? Levy spent 50 million on Richarlison and 65 million on Solanke, and you'd think he's going to get another 9. Give your head a swivel. Nate, yeah, Bissouma and or Son to join Jose. I imagine we have to replace them if they leave. Do you know what? I keep saying this, Nate. To me, my understanding of it, or from my understanding, looking in, is that I can't keep repeating this enough. We're 2 weeks away from the players returning from a long earned rest, right? So the groundwork and the plans are being done at the moment by Thomas Frank, who's only just started. He will get to see his players. He already knows a lot about our players because he's picked teams against us. So he's done the analysis for the opponent. So he's done analysis on our players. But he'll be able to see them firsthand. And that will be in the beginning of July. And then he can then turn around and say who he thinks he can work with, who he can't. And then, the squad will be reshaped from then. So the one thing I will say, and I'm going to leave you with, is that all this talk about selling Tottenham and about moving on and stuff like that, and it's all gone quiet, ain't it? Now that Frank has been taken on, it's all gone quiet. So Hay says, no, Messi, Suarez and other Barca guys are not in the prime anymore, but how do you not beat Al Ahly? Because Al Ahly, to me, in the first half page, were a better team. Sorry, but Gray was shocking in the under-21 European Championships. He's miles away from being the starter of Spurs. Al Ahly last night, page, from what I saw, their players were on a different level. And Inter Miami's team, apart from 3 guys that are over the hill, in Busquets, Messi and Suarez, the rest of their team seem to be made up of under-21 South American players. They're all South American. The majority of them are Argentinian, but the way they've got around this salary cap is that they've brought all these players in from South America. Venezuela, they had a Venezuelan player, a Uruguayan player, and the rest of them were all Argentinian, but they're all youngsters, all under the age of 21, and that's the way they've got around it. It's interesting because the number 55 for them yesterday is his name was Redondo Solari. So his dad is Redondo, who played for Real Madrid, and his uncle is Solari, who also played for Real Madrid. So obviously Redondo must have married. I presume Redondo must have married Solari's sister, because his double-barrel surname is Redondo Solari. And they did say on commentary yesterday that his dad is Fernando Redondo, who was a left-footed midfielder for, well, they were both left-footed, him and Solari. Solari was more of a left wing-back, and Redondo was a cultured left-central midfielder. But interesting genes he's got. But yeah, Busquets played with the 5 and he played with the 55 last night. Agree, it's quiet. Not unlike Spurs to leave it last minute to bring players in. Makes sense to give Frank a chance to better assess the squad before making decisions. I'm trying to work out where saying Eze, Semenyo and Bueno, people just talk shite. To talk shite, it seems no one even said a number 9. I actually think Solanke will have a better season under Frank, and hopefully both Solanke and Johnson will suit Frank's system. Do you know what? Solanke reminds me of him and Tony. To me, are more or less identical players. So if it worked for Tony, let's see what he can do for Solanke. Anyway, right, I've rattled on. We've been nearly 2 hours. I want again to wish everybody happy Father's Day, for those that practice, or those that have got, those that remember having, and also as well for those ladies out there that are single or don't have a father around, and also undertake all the father's duties as well. So happy Father's Day to everybody. Thanks for watching. If you can, if you can, please smash the like for this video. And also as well, if you want to leave a comment, if you're watching this back on playback and you want to leave a comment, then leave a comment after the stream. It's always appreciated. And we will go from there. So I have to thank Blaine for his super chat. There you go, for Blaine for his super chat. Vindaloo for his super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel, guys. And I will wish you, as I said, I wish you all a very happy Sunday, and I wish you all a very happy Father's Day. And I hope that you all are taken care of in whatever it is you do, and whoever it is you're celebrating with today. Take care, everyone. God bless you all, and it's come on, you Spurs.
Tell, Cockerel, he's just a true guy. You'll have a true time. Tell, Cockerel, leave your troubles at the door. You know the game, you know the score. We're here to have fun, so holster that gun and read the writing on the wall. The predictions leak, done every week. It just goes on and 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 on. Why do I always get it wrong? Tell, Cockerel, he's just a chill guy. You'll have a chill time. Tell, Cockerel. Jose gets himself around, always talking Spurs wherever he is found, home or away. He always tips to win, throws the form book in the bin with a cheeky knowing grin. Tell, Cockerel, he's just a chill guy. You'll have a chill time. Tell, Cockerel. Why do I always get it wrong every time I play along? Tell, Cockerel, the show is so chilled, your time is well filled. If you want good friendly chat, then here's where it's at. Tell, Cockerel. Goes on and 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 on. Why do I always get it wrong? Tell, Cockerel, the show is so chill, your time is well filled. If you want good friendly chat, then here's where it's at.